I've got 4 questions that have come in through the Financially Simple blog, the podcast, and through the social media avenues just today. And I wanted to just pause today and just answer these questions. If you have a question, please leave it in the comments below, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, or you're watching this through on Twitter, through Periscope. If you want to go to financiallysimple.com/ask Justin, you're welcome to leave a question there. And I've actually got a question coming in right now on, looks like YouTube. Okay, so here we go. Let's go through these questions here. First question came in. It says, Justin, I just was told on a golfing trip that RMDs are delayed. Is that true? So that's required minimum distributions is what they're referring to. Underneath the CARES Act, part of the legislation allowed those individuals who are required to take money out of their IRAs to delay that until next year, basically pushing that off. The reason for it is the market is down. And with the uncertainty of the economy, one of the gimmies that Congress gave us in that CARES Act was to allow those individuals who were required to take monies out of their IRAs, et cetera, to not do so this year. So that is true. That has been delayed until next year. We're not required to take RMDs this year. Who is that applicable to? That's typically folks who are over the age of 72. It used to be 70 and a half, but in the bill, which my mind just went blank on, late in December, they actually moved the time frame until age 72 for individuals who have IRAs or other retirement assets. So yes, RMDs, required minimum distributions, are delayed for this calendar year. Making sure no questions are coming in. Okay, let's go to question number 2 here. Hey, Justin, I have a quick question regarding the stimulus checks. Because nothing is free, will we have to pay these back at some later date? In other words, will the amount of the checks be reduced from our 2020 return? If there is a difference, will we owe the government that amount? No, that's not the case here. This is the 4th time in about the last 15 years that we've received stimulus checks from the federal government. They've happened multiple times. I've talked about this on the podcast. Well, the idea behind it is Congress was trying to get money directly to those who needed it the most. And what better way to do that than to go in and give us the stimulus checks? They put some caps on the amount. So if you're greater than, I think it was $150,000, you start phasing out. In other words, you're not getting as much in the stimulus check. But those of us who receive a stimulus check in the mail, and in fact, some people are already receiving them as of today. Actually had a few people say, yeah, I got my check. Those people who are receiving the checks today, that is money that is free. Well, free is relative, right? Free is basically, I think they overtax us, personal opinion. Feel free to make it yours. But no, in a nutshell, it's money that we get to keep and we get to spend however we want to spend it on. There's no restrictions for that. So one of the things that we are looking at this particular point with the stimulus checks coming in, spend it. There's no hook, so to speak, on this particular money that we're going to have to turn around and pay it back. So I hope that answers your question. I think that was Mark who asked that question. Another question that came in is, should I apply for the PPP fund now, or PPP loan now? That's what I think they meant. That is the payroll protection program. That's where we get the PPP from. If you've listened to my podcast, there's several entrepreneur doctors who can't go to work. Candidly, they can't work. Now, I started changing my tune. I actually mentioned this on the Dental Guys podcast. They had me on yesterday, I guess it was. We have some clients who have not been able to work because of government mandates. Think about a dentist, for example. They're right in your face, right? They haven't been able to work because of the government mandates. Well, now those are starting to lift different parts around our country. The idea being is that you want to apply for the loan and have it funded about the time you're going to start using the money. So we had told people that, hey, let's wait and see what's going to happen here. You don't want to get funded back in the beginning of April and then have to go like 4 weeks where you can't get the loan forgiven. Some people say go ahead and get the money and just turn it into a loan. I'm actually changing our tune a little bit. Various parts of the country, including Tennessee, they're now starting to roll out a reopening campaign to get our economy and our lives back to normal. We hope that happens sooner than later. So they're starting to phase this in. So several businesses who lost income, we told to go ahead and get the money right away. Our business, for example, we received funding already from the PPP loan. Others have just stepped by and waited because they didn't know if they were going to be working in May. and they want to make sure they can maximize forgiveness. So should you apply right now? I'm going to tell you that if you think you're going to be working in the next 2 to 3 weeks, go ahead and apply. And your bank has about, from the time they get approval, they have 10 days to fund the account, or from the time you get the application, they have 10 days to fund the account. So now may be the chance where you want to go ahead and start applying. If you have any questions about it, call your advisors. Your advisors know your particular situation better. We've had dentists, for example, that we told 3 weeks ago, go ahead and get the money. You need it now. We've had others say, you know what, follow your gut. I really can't give you sound advice on that, but it's coming to the point now where we're telling folks, hey, you may consider going ahead and moving forward on this money. Then the last question we're going to answer today, unless we have any other questions that are coming in at this particular point, and I'm not getting any from the team. If any questions fall into the Facebook or YouTube or Periscope platforms, and we'll do our best to answer those questions maybe in the next Q&A session. But the last question we have for today is, can I still apply for the EIDL loan, or the economic injury disaster loan? That was the 7B portion of the CARES Act. And what that did is give us a grant for roughly $10,000, a maximum of $10,000. They based it on employees. Oh, looks like we're getting a question. Let me read this real quick. Sorry, it wasn't a question. Basically, if you apply for the 7B loan, then the SBA, Small Business Association, will give you roughly $1,000 for each employee you have. So if you had 10 employees, you get $10,000. If you have 3 employees, you get $3,000 as part of the grant. We already have individuals who are receiving that money at this point that applied a couple of weeks ago. The question was asked, can you still apply? Absolutely, you can still apply. We've actually had one individual that I know has contacted me and said, hey, Justin, not only did I get the grant portion, but I also got a loan offering. And it's interesting. I'm actually reading through the details of it and how they calculated the loan. There's not a measurement to the calculation, and I can't figure out how they come up with the damage amount on this particular loan. So you can apply for the 7B. That is still available. And if you own a business, you may want to go in and apply for that 7B loan. We call it the EIDL, EIDL, kind of to be phonetically correct, but it stands for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So there are 4 quick answers there. Hey, look, if you have a question, I'm doing my best at this point to try to answer as many questions as possible. Right now, things are tough. Right now, things are tough. Things are complicated. People are dealing with so much hurt, so much struggle. We have business owners on the opposite side of the hurt and struggle who are, man, they're booming. They're busier than ever. And now they're trying to figure out how to scale up and move things around. So if you have a question, go to financialsimple.com/ask Justin. Or if you want to leave us a comment here below in the comments phase of any of our podcasts or blogs or whatever, or on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, anywhere you want to Google us, and on any social media, we'll do our best to answer your question as we do these next Q&As. So with that, I'm going to sign off.